Well, indeed, it is time. Shortly, we shall be engaging our special guest for this afternoon. But let me just remind you that he is an established record producer, qualified composer, songwriter, musician, international businessman, and of course, he has that creative flair. He is a prime example of the new wave of entrepreneurship. He shares his time between London and Accra, and he has worked with a vast number of major recording artists worldwide with multiple global chart success. He is Ghanaian, at the same time British. Well, do enjoy this last banger from him. Right after that, we have our guest joining us all the way from the UK via Zoom. In case you've been wondering all this while, his name, Myx Michael Kofi Quest. That's his name. And he's on in a bit right here on Arts Africa.
I listen to Africa Global Radio. Make una tune in, now then the better tunes they come out from.
Moody blues, silence in bed. Closed mouths truly really never get fed. She telling me I'm too much into my head. I'm thinking I'm stressed, I could use some. I might seem off. No teleprompter for me to read off. Put the pedal to the metal, then I speed off. Of course, feel bananas, so I peel off. Mine for the evolve. In a world full of snakes, I feel like an oddity. Trust nowadays is such a rare commodity. Me, I do my thing, no apology. That be why me, my rep, it be quality. Tell a junkie, if it tests, I go ruin them. Me, I manifest writing lines while they doing them. Big beer like an allergy. Me, I do my thing, no apology. Yeah.
No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine. I'm my wave, don't bother me. Come light up a flame, let's live a dream. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at this? Make the vibe feel so sweet, yeah. Sweet, yeah. Approach me with caution. It just make me nauseous. If I know good news, nobody send me text. And if you're not next, then I'll show interest. You vex car, you got stuck in the ring. You can't tap up, brain tapping back in. I know you don't want to go the thing, but she don't want love, dog. It's just a fling. I really mean it, just be cool. I need you to take time and be easy. Please don't bleed it. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine on my wave, don't bother me. Come light up a flame, let's live a dream. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at this? Make the vibe feel so sweet, yeah.
When I walk full of snakes, I feel like an oddity. Big beer like an allergy. Me, I do my thing, no apology. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine on my wave, don't bother me. Come light up a flame, let's live a dream. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at this? Make the vibe feel so sweet, yeah. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine on my wave, don't bother me.
Hi, I'm Trisha.
Hi, I'm Ivan. Love Africa Global Radio.
No apologies. That is a Myx Quest featuring Manifest, M. Diggity, and Kimami. Also, B for Bona on that track. Shortly, we're going to be connecting with our special guest, Myx Quest. Just keep your fingers crossed. We'll be crossing over to him via Zoom. You know, the technological bit. A tad in there. We're just trying to connect. We're working the lines to get him on. And once we have him on, we shall move on from there. It's going to be fantastic, really. You don't want to miss out on this one. You miss it, you miss out big time. So just stick with us. Let's do the do. You're still live on Arts Africa on Africa Global Radio. Let's have fun. Enjoy more music, and when we come back, we go to our special guest.
Never get fed. She telling me I'm too much into my head. I'm thinking I'm stressed, I could use some. I might seem off. No teleprompter for me to read off. Put the pedal to the metal, then I speed off. Of course, feel banana, so I peel off. Man for the evolve. In a world full of snakes, I feel like an oddity. Trust nowadays is such a rare commodity. Me, I do my thing, no apology. That be why me, my rep, it be quality. Tell a junkie, if it tests, I go ruin them. Me, I manifest writing lines while they doing them. Big beer like an allergy. Me, I do my thing, no apology. Yeah, yeah.
No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine, I'm my wave, don't bother me. Come light up a flame, let's live a dream. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at least make me vibe feel so sweet, yeah. Sweet, yeah. Approach me with caution. He just make me nauseous. Really mean it, no me no want stress. Bad mind can't pass through the entrance. If I know good news, nobody send me text. And if you're not next, them not show interest. You vex car, you got stuck in the ring. You can't tap up, break up in back in. I know you don't want to go the thing, but she don't want love, dog. It's just a fling. I really mean it, just be cool. I need you to take time and be easy. Please don't plead it. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine on my wave, don't bother me. Come light up a flame, let's live a dream. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at least make me vibe feel so sweet, yeah.
In a world full of snakes, I feel like an oddity. Big beer like an allergy. Me, I do my thing, no apology.
No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine on my wave, don't bother me. Come light up a flame, let's live a dream. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at least make me vibe feel so sweet, yeah. No apologies. Good energy, come follow me. I'm fine on my wave, don't bother me.
Hi, I'm Trisha. Hi, I'm Ivan. Love Africa Global Radio.
Good energy, come follow me. Come wind up your waist like Natalie. Can I get at least make me vibe feel so sweet?
Welcome back on Art Africa on Africa Global Radio. Thank you so much for your company. Shortly, Myx Quest joins us. He's going to be with us. We're connecting with him. Technology acting up a bit, but of course I can see him already, so I know shortly we're going to be patched through. So some tidbits about our guest for the afternoon. His full name, Myx Wedi Alawiye Michael Kofi Quest. I hope I've not murdered anything in there. He's an established record producer, qualified composer, songwriter, musician, international businessman, and he has that creative flair. He is your, prime example of a new wave of entrepreneur. He spends his time between London and Accra, and he has worked with a vast number of major recording artists worldwide with multiple global chart success. He also is a businessman, like I indicated, entrepreneurial spirit. Now, this British-born Ghanaian has a hub of businesses which sit under the umbrella of what today is called Curve Limited. But Curve is not spelled the way you know it. It's spelled Q-I-R-V. It spans from property development to online store gloryroots.com. He also dabbles in some photography, specific to the legend James Bano, via way of being a private collector and board member of the James Bano Foundation. Well, without further ado now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you're connecting with us from across the world, I give you, or better still, Africa Global Radio gives you, Myx Quest. Mr. Quest.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? I don't know.
We can all hear you loud and clear right here in Accra. It's loud in Accra. How is it in the UK?
Yeah, it's fine. How are you doing?
Very well, in fact. Where in the UK are you specifically?
So I'm in West London at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, awesome connecting with you finally. And of course,
thanks for having me. Yeah.
great.
It's been a little bit of a challenge this morning, but I guess we're finally here now.
Well, technology, you can't always rely on it, but thank goodness that we're on now. So let's start from the very start. Let's juice out the most we can in the next 35, 40 minutes, as much as we can. I'm going to start it from here, Myx Quest. Now, speaking of names of performers, I've heard everything from Ice Cube to Chamillionaire to Gucci Mane to Juice WRLD, who died last year, unfortunately. And here in Ghana, you may have heard of the likes of Yapono, Busumpi Young, all very interesting names for an artiste to pick. In fact, if you go the way of Hollywood stars too, famously, some of them have changed their names to make themselves commercial or saleable. Typical examples, Mark Sinclair, who changed his name to Vin Diesel so he would sound more tough. Onika Tanya Maraj, the Trinidadian-born rapper who changed her name to Nicki Minaj, or even Eric Marlon Bishop, whom we all know as Jamie Foxx. So that brings to mind your stage name. What's in the name, and why would you choose Myx Quest as your stage name? Is it your given name?
Just to correct, it's not actually a stage name. It's my full name as you just read out. So it's Myx Bwedialawi Michael Kofi Quest.
Yes. So
it's just my first name and last name.
Okay. So when I saw it, I did realize that it was a part of your name, but I was asking myself, is that really your name? I mean, my apologies. So this was your given name right from birth?
Okay, if you want to have a show on my name, we can do that, but I guarantee you we'll probably need about 5 hours for that.
Tell us a bit just give us a little tidbit about it. Your name.
Well, the tidbit is my full name is Myx Bwedialawi Michael Kofi Quest.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for making it, as clear as that spelling is out. Anyway, so tell us a bit about your background. Having touched on your name, tell us a bit about your background. What was growing up like for you?
Hey, like, where do you want to start? Do you want to start from...
Let's start from family.
Okay, so grew up in London, was born and raised in West London, where I am now. Shout out to my West London people. And then moved to Ghana for a few years for like JSS. Well, just before JSS, so like kind of class 6, going into JSS. Went to a few schools, so Alcid Academy. Those of you that know Alcid, shout out to my Alcid people. So I went to Alcid for a bit, and then I went to Infantipim as well in Cape Coast, and then came back to London and carried on education. And throughout that journey, was when I started to explore like music, get into music. It actually started probably in Ghana more. I was doing music before I came to Ghana anyway, but like in secondary school, like we used to rap and stuff, and just kind of was like really into music and stuff. So I think those were the first sort of like elements of just me being inspired by music. And during that time in the sort of like 90s and stuff, like there was just like so much fresh music coming out, and it was just really, really inspiring.
Would you say the trigger when it comes to music, especially you spoke about rap, and I remember, in the 90s as well, back in my high school, it was all, the dance stuff, the rap stuff, the music stuff.
Exactly.
Was it the Infantipim school that, triggered it or started it off for you?
I wouldn't say that's what triggered it, because like I said before that, when I was in school in London, I was in bands, like, in primary school, like playing the steel pans, and my dad is also very heavily into music. He's always been into like reggae music particularly and stuff. So there wasn't really a particular trigger. Like I've always been around music from birth. Like even my uncles on my mum's side, they've all been into music. Like 2 uncles that unfortunately passed away, they own music shops in the middle of Accra, like quite huge music shops. There's one called Agrobeso, and then I've forgotten the other one. It's in Adabraka. So there's always been music around me. But I guess if you're asking when I first started performing, then I guess Infantipim would be the initial stages of me actually performing, and just experimenting as an individual artist, and then obviously developing from there, really.
Okay, now let's talk about developing from there. You were selected to represent Ghana at the Stockholm Water Festival. This was sometime
wow.
before you actually went back to the UK. How did all of that pan out? Was this during the Infantipim era? Was it after that era? Tell us a bit about
So
that.
that was during the Alcid. That was like JSS time, or just a little bit before. I think Class 6 JSS.
Okay.
And I mean, from what I can remember, there was some kind of national, I don't want to say competition, but there was like a national effort to select people to represent Ghana.
Right.
And, somehow, I can't remember, I think I did some tests or there was some interviews and stuff. But I do remember the experience was really, really dope. There was 4 of us, and so many people from different nations came. And then on the tail end of it, we ended up doing like a exchange program. So we stayed with a family there. And then I remember vaguely that a family also came to Ghana in exchange as well. So that was really, really good, just to see lots of different cultures coming together and just sort of just celebrating. I still don't know what the actual water festival, every time I meet someone from Sweden and I talk about the water festival, they're like, they give me different stories and stuff. I don't even think it still goes on. But I mean, it was sort of like just one of those memories that I cherish, just as, my small way of sort of like representing Ghana in a very small way.
Wow, and that was United Nations related. And so
exactly
after your education at Infantipim, then aged 17, you completed your A levels in mathematics, chemistry, and psychology. Now, off the top of my head, I'm looking at you and thinking, science student, the affinity for music, though, but you did go down that path, didn't you?
So I mean, ironically, lots of people that I went to school with in Infantipim, who were in the science classes, were the ones who were rapping, were the ones who were doing arts and stuff. So I think really in those days, I think, doing science or being a science student or mathematical student or whatever,
it didn't put you in any box. You could be Dexter,
it wasn't really, but you could be the musician as well. Yeah, it wasn't a correlation, because remember, we also had like the clubs and societies. So you could be a science student, but then still be in the entertainment club or the arts club or, the drama club. A few people I went to school with. So for example, like good friend of mine, George Quay, he was in, I remember correctly, even like he wasn't in an arts class for what I remember, but then obviously he ended up becoming quite a, famous person. Or Majid, for example, I remember Majid was in our class.
Yeah.
And, he's quite a huge actor. Some other guys that I went to school with, Michael Mensah Bonsu, he's like an entrepreneur himself now, but I used to rap with him.
Oh, wow. And when you mentioned Majid, though, did you mean Majid Michel, the actor?
Yeah.
You were in the same class with him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Great stuff.
So there was quite a few of us in this class that obviously had creative elements to us, but was doing like ad maths and algorithms and all of that kind of stuff, which I couldn't tell you the last time I had to apply any of that, but here we are.
Look how it all added up. Ad math and everything.
I like that.
Yeah, look how it all added up. Let's talk about your influences. Now, most artists have others they've looked up to, or other performers upon whom they've built their own craft or developed their interest. I mean, if you go to even the Jay-Z-Nas beef, you would realize that, Nas has some sort of influence on Jay-Z, who may be bigger in terms of, commercial value. Who would you say influenced your style of music?
Well, I mean, as far as like Nas influencing Jay-Z, I think that's a big argument there. But I mean, for me, there's just so many different influences. So, I mean, you've got producers such as Pharrell, Timbaland. You've got composers and producers such as like Quincy Jones. But then, you've got like local, for example, Ghanaian artists like, Daddy Lumba. Amachi Dede, like whose music was just, so solid and still is so timeless. But then you've got the likes of like Fela Kuti, like it's such a wide scope. I'm really into classical music as well and jazz. So I think there's just so many different elements that have contributed. Like I said, my dad's really into reggae, and he was very close with a band that are still going called Wisdom Band. So shout out to them. Morgan Heritage. The list goes on, really. It's such a wide scope. It's really hard to narrow it down, really.
Wow. So it's quite a hodgepodge there, and you've picked from all of this. Sounds very eclectic. But did you say your dad, is it that he loves the band or he's a part of the band, the Wisdom Band?
Yeah, well, I think he's like the adopted member. Like, so he doesn't play in the band, but he's always been literally with them, kind of like a tour manager or whatever. Like, he's literally been like part of the band, but doesn't perform in the band. If that makes any sense.
It does. Adopted member, if you like. Now, as far back as, and let me just do this at this point in time. Wherever you are across Africa, the rest of the world, you can actually tap into the feed. This is Arts Africa on Africa Global Radio. Of course, this afternoon, we're bringing you something musical. An artiste, he's an entrepreneur, he's a man who wears many hats, and we'll be telling you we're unearthing him or, cutting through him layer by layer like an onion. We're peeling, Myx Quest, who joins us all the way from West London in the UK. Shoot us a message on WhatsApp if you have any comments. That is +233, because we're here in Ghana, +233 20 706 4680. On Facebook, at Africa Global Radio. That's how you can connect with us. Catch the live feed via Zoom. On Twitter and Instagram, at AFG. That is AF Global Radio. Now, Myx, as far back as 2014, you were dropping alternative contemporary Christian songs like Light Shine Rays featuring Nicky Brown from your album, Jesus in My Heart Drive. Now, you do more of R&B or soul music and so on. How long have you been at this, this transition, this music bit? And have you switched genres now, maybe, to be more commercial? Is it that you've stopped the Christian music bit and now you're doing R&B and more soul music?
No, I mean, what I'd say, I always say I'm just a multi-genre producer, so I know that commercially people, are very used to just putting people in boxes and, hey, what genre do you do?
You must be this or you must be that.
Exactly. But, I just express myself musically and then try my best to get it to listeners. And it really is as simple as that. So talking about, for example, Jesus in My Heart Drive, gospel has also been a very, very major part of my musical influence in the past, probably past 10 years or so. And I was very heavily playing at church, like quite a big church in the UK, Ruat City Church, and Bishop used to come to Ghana quite a lot actually, and still does. So even through being at church and playing as a musician, that obviously inspired me and exposed me to a lot of gospel vocalists and gospel musicians and stuff. So it was only natural to do a few projects over that period of gospel music. But then saying that, the music that I do now still has gospel influence, but then gospel is influenced by jazz, and jazz is connected to soul and R&B. So, again, I don't think it's about commercializing or changing genres. I think it's just about expressing myself, and, I'll leave the rest of the listeners to put it in whichever boxes or categories or playlists that they feel.
So it's about how you feel at any given point. I mean, it comes from your soul. It's the music, and whichever genre, once you're inspired by it, you go ahead with it. Yeah,
exactly. So, obviously, Jesus in My Heart Drive, ultimately based on message, that was more of a gospel EP. But then if you listen to Escape from the Hard Drive, which is, as the name suggests, an album that I did after that, which was just a collective of records that I had in the hard drive that I put out, that has a mixture of hip-hop, soul, R&B, and even some alternative stuff on there as well. So that's just the music I did. Those are the artists that I worked with. When I work with artists, I like to take them out of their comfort zones. I mentioned Pharrell and Timbaland as references. Now, when they first came on the scene, I don't know if you remember, their music stood out a lot, and that was because it didn't sound like anything else that was out. So any artist that would work with them, they knew that they were going to be taken out of their comfort zone, and they knew that they were going to end up with a product that wasn't necessarily in sync with their current genre or fan base or listenership. And people were either going to love it or hate it. And that's what's obviously made those guys such iconic producers.
Right. I totally get that. And of course, yes, I do remember the Pharrells and the Timbalands, and especially with regard to Timbaland and Magoo and the beats and everything. I mean, you can't, write off that. These people influence generations, new generations of, producers and all of that. And big ups to them. But let me just run this by you, especially as we're talking about, your music and how it kicked off and all of that. I noticed that especially in recent times, you've been collaborating with a lot of, Ghanaian artists, from Kelvin Boy to, the likes of Manifest, considered one of the best rappers on the continent. You have so many of them that you're collaborating with. When did this start? Is it an attempt to reach out to the audience here, cross over and let people here know that, as we say here, you day, and that you have something to offer?
Oh, be say a day. As for the day,
by check like you day, pa.
Be today. So okay. So just to give you the backstory. So a lot of these guys. So for example, like let's just take Manifest because you mentioned him. The first record I did with Manifest was probably 8 to 10 years ago. And it actually also featured Sarkodia on the record. It was supposed to be on the album Escape from the Hard Drive. So there's a track on there by so it's Myx Quest featuring Ella Boucher. Now there's a version which is still in the hard drive that is Ella Boucher, Manifest, and Sarkodia, for example.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, that version didn't come out, because obviously you have to, negotiate with these artists and, just make sure it's the right timing for everybody. And, by the time I was ready, it just wasn't the right time. So that is still in the hard drive. But the point is, a lot of these artists I've been working with for behind the scenes for quite a while. But the only difference is that now the branding is much more stronger in the sense of, those days, I was more just a behind-the-scenes producer, whereas now I'm sort of stepping to the forefront as a producer-artist. So, for example, even when the days of like Irene and Jane, I was working.
Oh yeah, the gospel artist. No,
not the gospel artist. So Irene, who is Irene Logan, and Jane, who's now known as Sophia.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, when they first got signed to Charter House, it was off the back of a TV program. I think it was either Stars of the Future or something like that. Like, there was some kind of
there was a program like that.
Yeah, and they were, I believe, one of the first artists to get signed. So those days, when Richie Mensah, he was like coming up as a producer, we also used to link up and work. And again, because I had a lot of other work on as a record company executive, it wasn't my priority to push myself as a producer artist. So I would work creatively with people, but then I would also have quite a lot on my plate from a management or record company perspective with working with other labels. But then fast track to now, I guess I've just made that conscious decision to just streamline my musical my musical web and just really focus on myself as a producer and composer. And this is why you now see some stuff coming out with a lot of I guess, push or marketing or, reach.
Yeah. Now, Mike's, just because you mentioned, Manifest and Sarkodie, very briefly, you've been working with them, I mean, from way back, because this was when Sarkodie was just, starting out, not necessarily starting out. He had been an underground, not starting, like, underground artist, now blowing up, if you like. And then Manifest, too, I mean, they've been in the system for over 15, close to 20 years thereabouts. But
those guys
did you then, when you looked at them, did you expect them to blow up like this? Did you expect them to become this big? I mean, I've seen both of them on lists of top 10 rappers on the continent. Did you expect them to get to this level?
Even then, I still considered them, amongst the absolute best anyway. So for me, it's just an absolute natural progression. The only difference now is that internationally, more people know of them.
Yeah.
But for me, that absolutely doesn't take anything away from where they were and their talent at the time. I mean, they've been very, very consistent artists, and they've always been very, very good at what they do, very sure about their craft. So the only difference is just how much more people know about them, which I guess social media has really played a good part of, and obviously their teams who've now taken things to the next level. But I don't think that at those times they were any less talented on any level.
What has been your biggest, should I say, song, record, or album so far? And which would be your favorite, song or album? I know it's difficult. Whenever I pose these questions, it's like asking a father or a parent to choose among their children. But is there that one song, that one album that stands out for you? And which has been your most successful up to this point?
Well, I mean, if you talk about most successful, I'm assuming you're measuring it from a generic measuring perspective.
Very generic
because
perspective.
What I might classify as successful might be completely different from what most people might. But I guess the obvious successful one would obviously be the current one, because for each project we invest more and more and we try and push it bigger and further. And the results, based on the investment are reflective. But then as far as my favorite, I think it depends on what mood I'm in, because if I'm in a sort of gospel mood, then obviously I'm going to probably pick something from Jesus in My Heart Drive. If I'm in a nostalgic mood, I'll probably pick something from Escape from the Hard Drive. If I'm just on a sort of vibey mood, I might pick Tinganingi. So it really depends on the day of the week that you ask me, really.
Oh, I see. Well, interesting perspective there. Let's talk a bit about your entrepreneurship. And before we delve further into your kind of music and what you've achieved in the game, tell us a bit about Curve Music, your record label.
So Curve Music started up more of a production company. So the difference between a production company and a record label is production companies focus on just delivering the product. So delivering the record, getting the artist in the studio, and making sure that sonically and directive wise, it's where they plan it to be, and you end up with a mixed and mastered product. It then evolved into being a record label, an independent record label, simply because in this day and age things are moving so quickly, and the way that the record industries work, it's not like back in the day where people would get signed because they sent a demo in, or someone heard them, or someone saw them performing and it was great, so they got signed. Nowadays, you have to do so much more to even start to attract the eyes of any potential investment. And that doing so much more is effectively you running your own label, because once you start having to execute a release plan and engage in the services of promotional people, marketing people, radio pluggers. So for example, currently, we've got radio pluggers in the UK that we use, radio pluggers in Ghana, radio pluggers in Nigeria. Shout out to the Ground Up Consultant, who are currently working there in Nigeria, working on the current single. And once you're engaging in these services, and then you've got sort of like TV, and then you've got stylists, and then you've got creative directors, you're effectively running a label. You've got deals with distributors, and you're having to do all the background administrational stuff. At that point, it becomes a full-blown record label. So it's a very small label. We've got a team of about core team of about 3 or 4 people. And as I said, we engage with other consultants. And
so does that mean you're not signing any artists yet? Doing work for staff, other people who would want to get into music.
That's a good question. The door's never closed. We're always open to seeing what talent is out there and seeing what people do. But we're not actively looking for people currently. Okay. But if, somebody wanted to approach us to see, hey, this is what I'm up to, check me out, then why not?
Great. Now, I know when we talk entrepreneurship, I'm not certain you're still doing this, so I just want to confirm for you. I know at some point you've been co-proprietor for your family-run school, Precious Sanctuary Academy in New Achimota. Yeah. Do you still play that role?
Yeah, I do. It's more of obviously of a sort of silent role because especially since COVID, I haven't been to Ghana since March, and usually I would have been there, by now, at least a few times a year, probably 4 or 5 times. But yet the school is still up and running. I think at the moment, because of the restrictions, there's still some sort of restrictions with schools and stuff in Ghana, but it's pretty much still there, Precious Sanctuary Academy. And my mum is taking care of that. So anyone that's got any kids looking for a school in that area, feel free to check it out.
Great. Now, I do know that you're a bit of a public speaker, but I mean, just to talk about your depth when it comes to entrepreneurship, you've dabbled in, panels, you've been on panels in music, fashion and business, including culture too, couture. You've worked alongside Damon Dash. You've the Ghana Music Week, you've been there. The Ghanaian Londoners Young Entrepreneurs Program, you've been on that as well. And interestingly, you're also a member of the Courvoisier Future 500. Tell us a bit about how you ended up on all of these.
I think just building a good network of people that I can engage with and just like-minded people. For me to be on those things, obviously someone else has to be doing something, equally as good or even better. Do you know what I mean? So yep. For me, I'm always just humbled to be considered to even be a part of any of those kind of things. There's so many entrepreneurs and so many people out there doing their thing. Even for example, shout out to yourselves. Africa Global Radio, it's a fantastic platform. And, you're doing your thing. I'm just a guest. And next week, there's probably going to be somebody else. So for me, it's just about making sure that I build good relationships and networks, and then making myself available where possible, really.
Right.
That's all I can really do on my end. There isn't any other sort of magic way of me sort of getting noted to be included in such things, really.
And if I may stretch it a bit further, with
sure.
specific regard to art, I'm talking about painting. I know there's this collection curated by, yours, truly, you, I should say, and James Barnell. Tell us a bit about that, because from to all intents and purposes, I can see that you are a lover of art. Tell us about your love of art and just how far you've dabbled in it.
Yeah, so that with James Barnell, which is photography, not painting. So James Barnell, how I came to meet James Barnell was actually quite a interesting story. So back in, I think it was 2011, I was contacted by a colleague from school, funny enough, from Fantipim as well. And he already knew James Barnell. So he reached out to me and said, hey, have you heard of this guy? And I said, no, I've never heard of him. And he said, oh, you should check him out. You might like his stuff. It was just sort of like to throw it out there. So I checked out his works and I was like, wow, this is really interesting photography. But what made it really interesting was that when I done my research, he was quite an established photographer worldwide. And all his pictures, if not most of his pictures, were of Ghana, but then the pictures had never actually been shown in Ghana. So that later on that year, 2011, there was the Goober Awards. Shout out to Denta. She was having one of her Goober Awards, and Curve, my company, was one of the sponsors. So during some of the celebrations and I think backstage or whatever, James Barner was actually, that's what happened. James Barner was also an honorary award recipient that particular year. So it was just a coincidence. So I was like, oh, isn't that the guy that, my friend told me about? And then I went up to him and started speaking to him. And that just made me even more interested in wanting to sort of get involved. So we met up in South Africa because he had an exhibition in South Africa a few months later. And I thought it would be best to just fly out there just to spend time with him, to really sort of get to know him and for him to get to know me as a serious, person. So we spent, quite a few days together in South Africa and built a really great relationship. And then off the back of that, 6 months after that, in June 2012, we then put on the first exhibition of his works in Ghana. So we got, his collection. Myself and James Barner curated and chose about 37 pieces that were then shipped over from the UK. And then we put on the exhibition. It was launched at the British High Commission. The British Council.
The British Council, yes.
At the British Council.
The British Council,
Yeah, because at the time I hadn't started working with the High Commission yet. So it was launched at the British Council. And then after that, it was moved to the Silverbird Lounge, actually. So, in the Accra Mall, where the cinema is. Yeah, there was like I don't know if it's still there. There's like a lounge thing that I used to go and hang out there. And it was just a really nice kind of chilled out spot. And I spoke to them and they were like, hey, cool, you can bring it here. And in the end, we had the exhibition there open to the public for about 3 days. And it was really, really good. There was lots of press coverage about it and stuff.
I must say that James Barner's works are just, fabulous. I know there's this one, Ghana, A Heritage Ever Young, and of course the one from Independence, some of those very original shots from back then. I took a look at some of them and beautiful, beautiful stuff. So, wonderful collaboration there. But to fast forward to 2018, November 2018, if I'm going to be specific, you played, multiple key roles in terms of the arrival of His Royal Highness Prince Charles and Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, to Accra, here in Ghana. Tell us a bit about how exactly, what role specifically you played and how exactly you were able to pull that off.
Yeah, so where do I start? So I'd been working, just doing some works, just general works with the British High Commission. I'd started building a relationship with them, particularly through Jasmine Griffiths, who was the head of the Diaspora Affairs there. And through that, been able to meet Ian Walker and Tom a few times. And when this event was coming up, just through building that relationship, I was reached out to initially because of the brand Glory Roots. I'd been reached out to bring some samples for the royal hamper, because there was a royal banquet, which usually happens when you have such royal visits, and then during the royal banquet, they're given royal gifts, etc., on behalf of Ghana. So Glory Roots provided 500 pieces of sort of like shea butter and different mixtures, etc. So that was one angle. And then the other angle was, in addition to that, there was the photography. So another good friend of mine from school, it's great to go to school in Ghana, clearly. She was from Alcid. She also worked at the High Commission, and I didn't even know that. Her name is Selassie Nikwe. So she reached out and connected with myself and Alote as well, Alote Bruce Conway, and we sort of collectively, I brought out the collection, the original collection from the James Barner exhibition, the Ghana Heritage Ever Young. And then Alote also brought some pieces, and then we displayed them in the what's it called again? The arts center in, my brain's just gone blank. What's it called again? In Jamestown, the Jamestown Arts Center, or Arts Club. So that was another fantastic, opportunity. So there was sort of two angles of me being involved. And yeah, again, really, really grateful. It was such an honor to meet him. And he personally gave a message over to James Barner when he saw the pictures, which I did as well. So that was really, really good.
Now, beyond these, when it comes to your entrepreneurial drive, some of your contributions when it comes to this stage, what else can you share with us about what you do that we can take maybe a leaf from?
I mean, there's nothing else I really do. Funny enough, I mean, it's just the same stuff. So it's from a record company perspective or record executive perspective, I still do management. Not as much as I used to do before, but I still sort of I'm in that area. From a record company perspective, obviously I run Curve Music. I must say that was also really inspired by working with a company called Music World, which was owned by Beyonce and her dad. So I worked with them for quite a few years, and through working with them, I learned so much, which is why I guess that gave me some of the inspiration to set up my own record company. So that is still currently going on. And gloryroots.com is still functioning really, really well. We've just taken on a few members of staff. So we're just steadily expanding. And the property stuff in Ghana, I still do that in the Spintex. So anyone that's looking for sort of Airbnb accommodations to rent or anything like that, feel free to give me a shout. But do I have any intention of really doing anything else? Not really. I just want to focus on these few things that I'm doing already and just build them to the best of my ability, really.
Let's. I just want to find out the Ghana UK-based Achievement Awards. You bagged an award there. Which year was this? And was it owing to your music or other things you do?
So that wasn't. So I was nominated. I didn't actually get the award.
Okay.
But I was in the sort of the final nominees that were.
You're part of the final batch.
Exactly, yeah. But so that was for Professional of the Year. Now I don't know what elements they used to assess that, whether it was professional from a creative professional or whether it was entrepreneurial professional. But it was definitely something that I was really grateful for, and just honored to even be mentioned, really.
Let's come back to your music, with a focus on your music. Tell us a bit about your most recent album and maybe some of the songs on there, some of the artists you feature.
When you say most recent album, do you mean forthcoming or existing that's already out?
Well, existing that is already out, because you spoke to us about the last album and the songs you released.
Okay, so Escape from the Hard Drive was an album, as I mentioned before. It's a collective of records that I'd just done, just songs that I'd written with people or co-produced or produced. And it was more of a body of work than an actual planned album. So from Ghana, I mean, it featured, so Yapono was on there. I mentioned Irene Logan.
Yeah.
She was on there. J So was on there as well. Like I said, the tracks with Sark, because I'd done quite a few tracks with Sark during the time, but none of those were on the actual album. And then there was a few people from the UK on there and a couple of people from the USA. And it was just a body of work that I felt was necessary to put out, because sometimes as musicians or as creatives that we can create so much, but then almost hoard it and not, give it out for people to enjoy. I understand that sometimes that's not by choice and just by logistics and timing, but then other times, people might become perfectionists and want it to be so perfect before they release it. And I'm always an avid fan of just trying to get music out there so that people can enjoy it, really.
What is it that you're working on currently, by way of music, by way of an album? Do you have something in the works?
So currently, the tracks that you see me putting out, so like Tingalingi with Calvin Boy and Angel and Kimani, and then the one currently with Manifest, Kimani and Bifa Bona, they're all from a body of work which is going to be an EP. Should be out this year. And that's going to be quite exciting. There's quite a few other artists I've been working with already in Ghana as well. So, one of the last tracks I did when I was in Ghana was with Enam. So she's like coming up really, really strong, really, really dope artist. And then there's Camido as well. But then in the UK, there's like people like Rochelle Blue, who I know she's obviously quite known in Ghana already as well, but she's currently in the UK. So trying to work with more people in Nigeria as well. And yeah, it should be quite an interesting, exciting project.
So, I mean, when should we look forward to this, EP? Do you have any timelines? I mean, your fans are watching, listening in, and all of that.
Yeah,
Do you have any timelines?
It's definitely going to be 2020. That's probably the best bit of timeline I can give you.
2020. Well, we are in 2020.
Exactly. Yeah. So whilst we're in 2020, it's going to come. Look, the issue right now, to be honest, is because of COVID and, restrictions with flights and restrictions with just generally everything, it's just, I don't think it would be wise for me to give any particular dates, just because I just don't know how that's going to pan
COVID has
out.
changed everything.
But exactly. It's given an excuse for everything as well, to be fair, but I'm looking forward to putting that out sometime this year, definitely. And we'll take it from there, really.
And speaking of, sometime this year, I hear just about a fortnight ago, I mean, you've been doing some direction of videos and all of that. Tell us a bit about that. London, Accra. Tell us a bit about your work in that regard.
So I just put out if you're talking about the music, you're talking about the music video that's out now for the No Apologies.
Myx?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, no, I was saying, if you're referring to the music video that's out, then
no, this is not one that is out. It's something that you're currently supposed to be working on.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's probably news to me then.
Okay,
as
so
for this your filler, dear.
This one, dear, I threw away, eh? Well. Anyway, so that was information I got though that you were working on some videos.
There's lots of stuff. I mean, there's always videos being worked on because obviously, as I said, moving forward, each project that I release, each track that I put out, we're putting more and more investment into it. So there certainly will be more videos coming. For the next single, there's going to obviously be a video and stuff. So you're not wrong in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it said that, earlier on I asked you about your influences, those who had influenced you and all of that, or basically those who had influenced your work. Let's crash now at those you have influenced in this industry. I'm talking specifically about music, how you've contributed to propping it up even further, especially here in Ghana.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know who I influence, so... That's for other people to say.
Don't you have any musicians who look at you as a mentor, sort of people who look at what you do and think, hey, I can aspire to that, your label, if you like, your production house and all of that?
I don't know if that's my place to say. I think if you're inspired by somebody, then that's a decision that you make. I don't think it's something that should be mentioned or enforced or anything. But what I will say, though, is that I really had fun working with a few guys who work as part of the Ghana National Orchestra. So as one of my last performances was in Ghana, for the Queen's birthday party, we were invited to perform at the British High Commission. And because I do sort of orchestration and composition as well, I put together a collective of, it was more of just like a small string quartet. And, we learned some songs and I played with them whilst being on the piano and then conducted a few songs as well. So that was really, really fun and just really inspiring, even for myself, just to see that there was that niche of people there in Ghana who are taking classical music seriously. And when I say seriously, from a notation and reading music perspective, because that's something that's not very, very common, just generally for Black people. And that's one of the sort of routes that I am taking and including and incorporating in my production. So it was really inspiring for me to work with a collective of young guys. And I mean, if I had any sort of impact on them, then great, but they certainly had an impact on me.
Well, Myx, we're going to take a bit of a breather here. We've already listened to two of your songs, Tinginingi, which features Kelvin Bly, Angel, and Kimani, as well as that one, Creator, with the Cokers. We're going to play for...
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, we have already. We've also heard No Apologies with you featuring Manifest, Kimani, and B for Bona. We're going to listen now to Touchdown. We're going to touch down on that song with which you feature Neeks and Jai Amore. So just hold up, listen to yourself, and of course the fans would love to listen to you. We'll be right back after this one.
1 2 1 2 Bakuminu. My name is Reggie Rockstone, and I'm asking everyone to tune into Africa Global Radio.
Recording live from that London city. I'm feeling tipsy when I'm rolling, your body's with me. 100,000 zoobies, 300 ciggies. We rolling up in the cup, yeah, my dog is with me. Shooty in them jeans, backing up on me. I just hit her with the smother, then she gave me Bobby. She was brat saying, baby, you can't handle body. I hear rats, see what happens when you're feeling cocky. Man, we winning, I feel this feeling like every day. I've been feeling my wrist glisten, I'm getting paid. I be rolling in, they be rolling out. I be on the wind, they on the drought. Soon as I touch down, you're gonna get it. I know you've been stressing on the time I've been spending. Baby, wait on me, baby, wait on me, on me.
And as soon as I touch down, I'm coming straight to you. And as soon as I touch down, I'm coming straight to you. Oh, listen, babe, I'm checking voicemails and voice notes, babe, just in case you've been missing me. 'Cause I've been on the road so long, you're feeling all alone again. You hear the rumors about these bands doing the thing to get that backstage to me. Oh, please. You know I'd be crazy just to look that way. 'Cause you mean so much to me, and everything I do is for you, babe. Oh, yeah.
So why you think that you my girl for? Steady surfing, making waves on this world tour. Yeah, 'cause I be on the road, so my life be kinda hectic. But I still find a little time to send a message. I'm just really trying to get on the stage, so are you with me? I'm always on the move, every night, different city. Counting all these pinkies, I be trying to get straight. You saying come home, but my homie on the stage. But girl, it's all you, baby, when I come through. Girl, keep in mind, do the things you wanna do. I'ma be home soon, so baby, go away. We could just chill if it ain't too late. All around as soon as I touch down, you're gonna get it. I know you've been stressing on the time I've been spending, baby, wait on me, baby, wait on me, on me.
And as soon as I touch down, I'm coming straight to you.
Touchdown, Myx Quest featuring Neeks and Jai Amore.
My defense, I will not.
Myx, that's a banger right there. What was the experience like, with the song Touchdown? Myx, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the experience was really, really fun. Really, Jai Amore is a Ghanaian, British Ghanaian R&B singer from the UK, also from sort of like Northwest London, and he's been going for a while, and amazing writer. Now, funny enough, the song actually came about by me working with a bunch of guys they used to be called the Bama Boys. So they were also signed to Beyonce's label, Beyonce's dad's label at one point. And they were in London, and a particular one of them who also sings, Jonathan Wells. We came up with the song, like he literally freestyled the whole song. And I made the track. He went in the vocal booth, freestyled it, and we just had it there as like a draft, as a demo. And then when I met Jay Moore, I played it to him, and Jay was like really feeling it, but then he kind of like brought his own twist to it, changed a few bits. And then Myx is also like an up-and-coming, really, really dope rapper and actor as well. So he's worked with like the likes of like Idris Elba and stuff.
Wow.
As a young actor.
Wow.
So yeah, he jumped on it, and it was really cool. We had fun doing the video and stuff, so you can check it out on YouTube. Yeah, and again, I mean, for me, it was just about the talent. It wasn't about trying to get some major names on there. Like, listen, if I can get big names, great. But then sometimes it's not about big names. Sometimes it's just about working with someone because they're just really, really talented, you know?
Yeah. Totally understand that. But speaking of videos, and how you're talking about loving the experience working with these people on that touchdown video, I've also, noticed your video for No Apologies. Very creative. It appears, checking out all of your work, very creative stuff. How do you manage that? From London to Accra, the shooting of the videos, COVID-19. How have you managed all of that?
Well, I mean, yeah, the No Apologies video was it was a bit of a crazy one. So we shot it like last month, and there was a team in Ghana that I had to sort of like round up together to shoot that one. A guy I had worked with in Ghana called Emmanuel Black. He shot some of the Tinganingi video of the Ghana scenes. So I got him to sort of take care of the Ghana side. But then in the UK, I worked very closely with a creative director called Vienti. She's known as a sort of fashion stylist as well. And she had like a few TV shows running in Ghana as well. So she's quite known in Ghana. And I mean, she's just got a really, really creative eye, and creative direction is just crazy. So when we connect, we always come up with ideas, and it's like, okay, yeah, how are we going to get a piano in the forest? Well, let's figure it out afterwards, but we definitely want to do that, for example. So that was really, really fun. And I must say as well, though, a lot of this stuff won't be possible if you don't get the cooperation from the artists. So Manifest team were really, really professional. Shout out to Fui.
Fui
Chikata. They were just so professional.
Yeah.
They were on time. Like, communication was absolutely clear. B for Bonner as well, exactly the same thing. Shout out to B for Bonner. They made themselves available, so it made it so much easier to actually get it done. Because it's all well and good having ideas, but trust me, I've worked with people who, are not as available, let's just say. So, when you get that cooperation, then you can definitely move forward. So it was really, really fun. We shot the London parts. Well, actually, it wasn't in London. It was outside Reading, which is maybe an hour and a half drive from London. And we managed to hire this Jeep, which is an original World War I Willys Jeep, by a car collector. Okay. So, because I'm not really a Ferrari. You won't catch me hiring a Ferrari or Lamborghini for a music video. That's not really my thing. But so yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, really.
Well, I could tell from the video. We're getting ready to wrap up with our conversation with Myx Quest, but right before we go, a few questions to run by you still. What motivates you? It said that motivation is like a bath. What motivates you? What is your driving force to keep on doing what you do?
Time. So, I mean,
time.
Time is not promised to anybody. So, every day I wake up, I think to myself, well, what can I do today? How much of an impact can I make whilst I'm here on this earth? I know it sounds really morbid or maybe sort of very, I don't know, cliche, but I always try and do as much as I can with the notion of, if I was gone tomorrow, would there be enough that I've done for me to be able to look back, or for someone to be able to look and say, actually, do you know what? He made an impact whilst he was here. So that's my main motivation, really.
Wow. Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, apart from singing and songwriting, which I want to believe are your pastimes, are your hobbies, do you have any things that you use to, while away time, occupy your time?
Well, I mean, singing and songwriting, I don't sing for a start, so
Wow, if you put it that way.
I mean, I write songs, but I don't actually sing. Yeah, and songwriting, I wouldn't really say it's a hobby. I mean, it's a full-time thing what I do. But anything else, really, not really. I mean, I love traveling. I love exploring, traveling. Just I love road trips. So, for example, my missus's family are from Ivory Coast, next door. And where I can, if I have the time, I like to take road trips there, or even to Nigeria. I've done both a few times, and just to see the different cultures along the way. It's so interesting to see how the cultures change, how the language starts to gradually change as you drive, for kilometers upon end. So I think that's probably the one thing I like doing, is just like exploring and traveling. But anything else, any other things that I do for fun will still probably have work related to it anyway as well. So, that's where we are. It's always sort of work and fun mixed in, really.
Well, right here from Ghana all the way to the diaspora, I mean, a lot of people all over the world have been listening to you. One thing we do on the show is that we always wrap up with our special guest with regard to a motivational message. Looking at Ghana, looking at the diaspora, what do you see currently? I mean, there's Black Lives Matter. So many things are going on. What would be your message to black people everywhere? And what would be your motivational last words that you'd like to share with us, Myx Quest?
I think with everything that's going on, I mean, there's something I've been saying for quite a while, and I mean, take it how you will. But I do think that it's really sort of time, like the time that we're in now, is really, really crucial that people start to embrace Africa and just understand that everything that they've dreamt of, everything that they aspire and want can be achieved in Africa. Like, you don't necessarily have to travel or live somewhere else. Now, I know somebody might say, but you're saying that, but you live in London. Yes, I do currently live in London, and I'm definitely making waves to move back home. But my point is, no matter where you live, that's fine. You can live abroad, but it's about investing in Africa. So it's not just a case of living, but it's a case of where your investment is and where your time is spent and where you plant seeds. And I think that, it would be a massive shame if in 20, 50 years' time, our continent is taken back again, because we didn't grasp it, we didn't plant seeds there, we didn't cherish it. So I think investing in Africa is crucial. And anything that you do, no matter where you live, even if you live in the diaspora, that's fine. But I think make it a deliberate point to invest in Africa.
From all the way in West London, of course, he spends part of his time in Accra. We've been, discoursing this afternoon with record producer, qualified composer, songwriter, musician, and international businessman Myx Wedi Alawiye Michael Kofi Quest, an entrepreneur as well. Myx, it's been refreshing speaking to you this afternoon. Of course, morning at your end, I think. And we look forward to the next time. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much.
And you know what I'm going to do? Enough said already. We've said enough on the show. And fitting title, yeah? As we wrap up on the show, we're going to wrap up with part 2 of your Said Enough track featuring Yapono and Kami. I think that's the name. And of course, you're on it. Said Enough. Well, I think we've said enough now. It's been a pleasure, my brother. And we wish you the very best in all your exploits.
You too.
That is Myx Quest, who connected with us this afternoon. And this is how we wrap it up on Arts Africa on Africa Global Radio. Don't you forget, you can anytime go to our Facebook portal and check out the video there, the Zoom recording from there. That is Africa Global Radio. On Instagram and Twitter at AF Global Radio. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. It's been a pleasure coming your way for another installment of Art Africa on Africa Global Radio. We wrap up with this one by Myx Quest featuring Yapono and Kami. Said enough. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? This is Trigmatic, and you're listening to Africa Global Radio. Stay tuned.
Nobody bad. Hey. Uptown energy. Myx Quest. Ghana brabo to me sunda ya na ukura Bugatti. When this beto na mame chinchin na mukase. Odi ambaya na usu uye foji na kumase. Ghana rapper wumpe jare nunko Illuminati. Jumping on this beat alone, I think I said enough. If you wanna see what I pass through, I think you need a map. Cause my done several years, I think you need a nap. Programming watching say Windows, but me, I need a Mac. When you they see me too, oh God, I see you blue. But no be on my fly, says you got Kwame shoes. When you pay your dues, what does it for your view? And then show me put no be really dear shower crew. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I come one night. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I come one night. Me to me boy, me to me giant, put no me to me knife. Put no biome, say me who I'm see me 29. Yenya one right to media, it shall be nice. That's why your shadow don't go bed until the night. Move and find your way, but never find a way for me. Romance of one, the bufu will point a gun on me. Friendship, mini shape, a friend, me more than me. Ghana, your Maya, get to such a quantity. Make I am Rami, we am a suffer just for Kelly Willie. Thousand system and the Pami, Chenny 80. Now, me name is no better than it, many. Now, me name Makume, one judge, any. Yes, and for Akuma, Mamma, and a matter Sefroye. Ya will back as a man, no, I draw China, oh, yeah. See my packet, my brother, one, I share me ceiling white. Now, more with the area, may you make up for my life. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I come one night. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I come one night. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough. I think I said enough to you. I think I said enough, I think I said enough.
Hi, I'm Trisha.
Hi, I'm Ivan. We love Africa Global Radio.
My heart really takes to you.